Every civilization we have ever studied had a childhood, a fumbling, messy stretch of trial and error pressed into the dirt, people figuring things out, leaving behind the evidence of figuring. Sumer did not. Around 3500 BCE, in the river plains of southern Mesopotamia, a culture arrived with writing already functional, mathematics already abstract, legal codes already nuanced, astronomical records already systematic. Beneath it, no excavation layer shows a society groping toward these things. They were simply present, as if unpacked from crates. That absence is not a gap in our knowledge. It is a data point, and it is the one archaeologists spend the least time explaining. Start with what the ground should contain. Every culture that developed writing independently, China, Mesoamerica, Egypt, left behind a gradient, crude marks becoming refined ones, pictographs straining toward abstraction over centuries. You can hold those artifacts in sequence and watch a mind learning to record itself. Sumer's earliest writing, the proto-cuneiform tablets from Uruk, dated to approximately 3400 BCE, are not crude. They are administratively complex from their first appearance, tracking grain allocations, labor assignments, property transfers across a city of perhaps 50,000 people. The bureaucratic infrastructure those tablets assume did not fossilize beneath them. It is simply absent. Archaeologists call the period before Uruk's explosion the Ubaid period. Ubaid settlements were modest, small, agrarian, unremarkable. The leap between Ubaid and Uruk is not a step, it is a discontinuity. And that has never made sense to me, not once, in any reading I've encountered. The Standard Model calls this an urban revolution. Fine, a revolution implies pressure building until something breaks, but pressure leaves evidence, prototypes, failed experiments, intermediate attempts that half work. Sumer left none. What it left was a finished product, which means the prototypes existed somewhere else. Cuneiform is not the deepest problem. The language written in it is. Sumerian is a language isolate, no confirmed parent, no confirmed sibling, no confirmed cousin in any language family on Earth. Linguists have tried for over a century to connect it, to Dravidian, to Uralic, to Proto-Caucasian tongues. Nothing holds. Sumerian arrived grammatically mature, from no traceable source. But the Sumerians themselves recorded something stranger still, their own texts, the king lists, the cosmological hymns, the Eridu Genesis. Describe a time before the flood, long-reigning antediluvian kings, cities that existed before a catastrophic inundation erased the prior world. Scholars categorize these as myth. The category is doing a great deal of work there. Beneath the city of Leonard Woolley excavated in 1929 a layer of water-deposited silt, clean, 8 feet deep, with human occupation above it and human occupation below it, dating to approximately 4000 BCE. The people below that flood line were not Sumerians. Their artifacts do not match. Their continuity into the Sumerian record is incomplete. And nobody asked why. Woolley's silt layer is not unique. Kish, Shuruppak, multiple sites across the Mesopotamian plain, different dates, different depths, same signature, violent inundation, then a resumption of occupation by people who already know what they are doing. Geologists now confirm that the Persian Gulf Basin was dry land as recently as 6000 BCE. Dry, inhabited land. The glacial melt that filled it drowned hundreds of miles of coastline over centuries, then abruptly stopped. The communities that survived retreated inland. They arrived in the river plains of Mesopotamia, carrying whatever they had managed to preserve. Read that geography again. A flooded coastal civilization, technically sophisticated, forced inland, arriving precisely where Sumer would emerge, carrying knowledge that left no transitional record because the transition happened underwater. The Persian Gulf seafloor has not been systematically surveyed for submerged settlement. The technology to do so has existed since the 1980s. The surveys have not been prioritized. That is a choice. It is not a neutral one. What Sumer inherited, and from whom, may sit 40 feet below current sea level. The question is whether anyone intends to look. The inheritance does not end with Sumer. It passes through. The Sumerian Abzu, the mythological freshwater ocean beneath the earth, home of Enki, god of wisdom and craft. The earliest Egyptian cosmological texts describe none, the primordial waters beneath creation from which all knowledge emerged. The structural parallel is exact. Two civilizations, separated by desert, sharing a cosmological architecture so specific that convergent invention strains credibility. That was never resolved by mainstream scholarship, and that silence has weight. Or the base 60 mathematical system. Sumer used it to divide the circle into 360 degrees, the hour into 60 minutes, the minute into 60 seconds. We still use it. Every clock on Earth still runs on Sumerian mathematics. Yet Sumer's texts offer no derivation, no record of trial and failure. It appeared as received knowledge, attributed in their own records to Enki, who brought it from the Abzu. They were telling us where it came from. We reclassified the answer as mythology and stopped asking. Pre-pharaonic Egypt will show the same pattern: borrowed architecture, borrowed cosmology, borrowed precision from a source the Egyptians also declined to name. That record is next. Sumer is not the beginning. The absent developmental layers, the isolated language, the flood deposits, the inherited mathematics, all of it points to a culture that received a tradition rather than originated one. The beginning is older. It is wet. It is currently unmapped on the Persian Gulf floor. That is what the record supports. What sits above it is a harder question: who carries that inheritance forward? Egypt, specifically the pre-dynastic period before Narmer, shows the same fingerprints, same sudden competence, same cosmological echoes, same missing childhood. We will be in that record next. Subscribe, because there are many more gaps ahead, and none of them are accidental.